Well, good morning. Looks like a rainy, kind of a rainy day today. The river was 7.3, I think, this morning. Didn't go down as much as it did the night before. It's kind of holding at that level right now. But, I'm going to try to make sense of this one. This topic has puzzled me for a long time, and I've prayed that God would clarify and help me not be quite so puzzled. But you've heard the term, and there's a song too. Let me start with the term. There's a term. It's easier a saying. It's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. And I'm living proof of that. I used to believe that the party that I voted for really stood for what they said. And it was not until I saw two paintings come from an island, and the person that owned the island, his name sounded like Einstein. Kinda. Started with an E. And it was when I saw those two paintings, I realized that song from when I was young. There's probably a lot of truth to that song by The Who. Don't be fooled again. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah, it was when I saw those two paintings. One was a president. His name started with a B, and he was junior. And he was sitting like a child would be sitting on the floor playing with a toy. And the toy was a paper airplane. And he was flying, and he had this smirky look on his face, and he was flying that airplane into the Twin Towers. You get my point on that one. And the other picture was a president. His name started with a C, and he was sitting cross-legged in a chair in a blue dress. You get my point. Both paintings depict control, being controlled. And that's been going on a long time. I realized it took me a long while to realize that I had been fooled. And when I get into what I'm going to talk about, it's been going on pre-flood. It's been going on a long time, and the same powers for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers, against the dark forces in the heavenly realms. It's that same bunch. It's the same people that are pitting us against each other and getting us in arguments on who did this and who did that, and that's so we don't realize who is behind it, and they're just being controlled to control us. I'm not sure if I'm going to post the song "Don't Be Fooled Again," but I might. But anyhow, let me get to my my subject here. I'll try to make this brief. I'm going to go to the book of Jude. That's the chapter right before Revelation. It's a small chapter. Jude is a servant of Jesus. He's James's brother. This is verse 14. It was also about these that Enoch, the seventh from Adam. So that describes what Enoch he's talking about. He's talking about the Enoch that I know he's talking about. that I'm talking about. That Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied, saying, "Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment on all and to convict all the ungodly of all their deeds, of the ungodliness that they have committed in such an ungodly way, and of all the harsh things that ungodly sinners have spoken against him." Okay, why, if they're telling me the book of Enoch was removed in our canon, why is Jude referencing him? Why is he quoting him, the book, from his book? That's the question that I had, that puzzles me. And the Ethiopian canon still has the book of Enoch. It's just our canon, it was removed. And I asked myself, okay, why and by who and for what reasons? Is it more control? I don't know. I haven't come to that conclusion yet. People that are smarter than me tell me, yeah, it is control. And people smarter than me tell me, no, it was this, that, and the other thing. But if Jude is referencing him, and now let me go to Genesis. Genesis 5. This is Genesis 5. Enoch, he was the seventh from Adam. Okay. The six before him all ended. It gave the number of sons and years that they lived, and then they died. Then they died. Then they died, and so on and so forth. All six of them. Okay, let me. This is how Genesis describes Enoch. Enoch, chapter 21. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years. He walked with God and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Okay? Do you notice the difference between the ending of Enoch and the ending of the six before him? The six before him, and they died. Enoch did not die. God took him. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I would rather learn about the one and read what he wrote from the one that walked with God for 300 years and lived a life such that God took him. Am I off in my thinking here? I'm not going to go into it because I could make this video an hour long. But if you read on in chapter 6, it talks about the Nephilim and how they came about. And Enoch goes into a much more descriptive, Genesis just gives it a few verses. It just says the sons of God saw the daughters of men attractive. They took them as wives and had children. They were called the Nephilim, men of renown. They grew to be giants. There's one reference well, actually, this wasn't Enoch that references, because this was the bones that were found on an island. Most of the places were over in Greece and that surrounding area around Mount Hermon. But I believe it was 200 BC, some historian recorded, and you won't find this if you Google search it. They've hidden this, just like they, the owners own the media, own the search engine, and they hide certain things. Seems like if it's true, a lot of times it gets hidden. Anything that's being hidden currently is probably true, most likely. But anyhow, if this historical account is correct, this was some 200, I think it was 200 BC, on an island, they found skeletal remains of a human that was almost 42 feet high. So that kind of explains why there's inscriptions on some of the cliff sides throughout the world of these giant humans holding an elephant in each hand, like you and I would be holding a cat. The proportions are as such. I'm just going to read a few. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, Deuteronomy is one description in the Bible. A lot of descriptions of these giants throughout the Bible. Enoch, like I say, goes into it in much more detail. But this is Deuteronomy 3:13. The rest of Gilead and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, he was a giant. I don't know how tall. Because the people actually worshipped them as gods, because they were slewing, they called them dragons. They were nothing more than dinosaurs. That is in all the region of Argob I gave to half tribe of Manasseh. All the portion of Bashan is called the land of the. Okay, this is a word we get the word giant from. It's Raphaim. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, I'm gonna go to one more place here. Let's see here. Can't find my little piece of paper here. What did I do with it? Lost it. Okay, this is Joshua 12:4. And Og, king of Bashan, one of the remnant of the Rephaim giants, who lived it at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and ruled over Mount Hermon, and Salak, and all of Bashan to the boundary of the Geshurites and Machurites, and over half of Gilead of the boundary of Shaham, king of Heshbon. Here it is. And then Joshua 13:12. All the kingdom of Og in Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, he alone was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. These Moses had struck and driven out. So there's just 3 references to the giants. So I still do not have a clear answer to why the book of Enoch was removed from our canon. It clearly must have been a time, in Genesis 6, God goes on to say he's sorry that he made man, and he wipes it. I mean, that whole bunch and what was going on then must have just been unbelievably horrific. And what frightens me is it says in the end times for us, it will be as in the days of Noah. So I'm asking myself, wow, is it going to really get that bad? Because if it is, we haven't seen nothing yet, in my opinion. Oh well, anyhow, enough. I will stop there. And I will continue to pray that God will clarify my questions on this matter, if it's His will. If it's His will. But I mean, I just, I guess I don't like being fooled. I don't like, because that's not what God is about. God is about truth. God is about revealing truth. And because it says the truth will set you free. That's not the case with deception and manipulation. Anything from a marriage on up to governments. If the government is manipulating us for control, if a spouse is manipulating us for control, often it ends in divorce. With governments, often it ends in war. They always take you to war. When they've lost control, they rinse and repeat with war. So I guess my point is, obviously, the scriptures say we're seeing the birth pains of the end times. And the more that control and deception continues and the people believe it, the closer we will get to that days of Noah. You follow my point? So, stay thirsty for God, my friends. Keep walking by faith, not by sight. God bless.